Hey everyone, it's John Trent here with Banning into Comics. I just got finished watching Titans episode 5, Deathstroke. I wasn't able to watch it on Friday since I was up at New York Comic Con, but I wanted to be able to watch it and talk to you guys about it here today on Monday. So it wasn't as good as the Aqualite episode, wasn't as good as episode 4. It was still a solid episode. Solid episode for as a follow-up. It was probably the second best episode of the season so far. Episode 4 was obviously the best. There's a lot of really good high points to this issue. Like I said, the combat, like when I was talking about episode 4, the combat is absolutely phenomenal. And we got a really good dose of it in this episode. Especially there at the end, the combat in combination with the music that they were using, man, I was on the edge of my seat and I was just like jamming along and like figuring out what was going to happen. It was really, really good seeing the hand-to-hand combat with Deathstroke, Starfire, and Dick Grayson there. I really enjoyed that. And they did a good job of mixing it up with Starfire using her powers and then fighting hand-to-hand, and then Deathstroke kind of having an answer to those powers and just how everything worked out. I thought that worked out really, really well. And I really enjoyed the fight scenes. And then in the beginning, you obviously had the really awesome fight scene with Jason and Dr. Light. That was really good as well. I actually really I really do like Jason as a character. I think they do a really good job portraying him. I love that he's just like a he's just a complete asshole and a wise ass, and he really comes across like he's got really good dialogue. Curran Walters does an absolute excellent job, and whoever's giving him the dialogue is doing a really good job, and his acting is really good too. He's always got like the body language that he does and his facial expressions just come across really good. And I really like what was really, really cool about seeing kind of Jason's little story arc here in this episode was that you saw that cockiness, that arrogance, that asshole-ish really coming off with Dr. Light. And then he was even trying to do it with Deathstroke, but then Deathstroke just pulled out that I think it was a whetstone that he was using to sharpen his sword blade and gave him that dialogue and just shut Jason up. And you're just like, whoa. And that presence that Esai Morales has in the costume. And I like that he's in the costume. I like that he's not out of the costume and he's primarily in his Deathstroke costume. And that costume just like gives him presence. And like I said, I wish there was still a little bit more orange, but it still looks really, really good. But the dude has presence. Every scene he's in, he's stealing it. Even when he's there with Brenton Thwaites and Deathstroke towards the end. Esai Morales really embodies, like he has a presence on screen that just makes you have attention. Yeah, Script Doctor says he embodies a full of crap teenager quite well. Yeah, that's the perfect description. He's an arrogant, cocky, asshole-ish like teenager that thinks he knows everything and doesn't really care what anyone else thinks. And he still thinks that, I mean, even up to the point where Deathstroke tells him, like, gives him that little speech, he thought he knew everything, and then Deathstroke's like pretty much like gives him a wake up call, and you just see that facial reaction, and then his entire like body kind of like slumps, and he's just like, whoa, this is like actually super serious, and stuff's going to happen. Yeah. So, Script Doctor, you're saying the Deathstroke costume is great, slim and functional. Don't get that often in superhero shows. Yeah, I'll definitely agree. I mean, it looks very functional. I think in some of those fight scenes, he was, I don't know what, I guess there was some kind of like high-tech grenades or something that he was using. Those were like actually pretty cool, unique. They put a different twist on the grenades that looked really cool. And he had a lot of different ones of them, and they seemed easily accessible on his suit, and he was able to just toss them and use them. And then he's obviously has this gun holster with his pistol, and then the sword on the back. Yeah, it looks pretty solid. I just wish there was a little bit more orange. That's just my personal opinion. So one of the issues I did have with the show was I thought the whole scene where they were kind of like going and searching for Jason, that's um, it just it didn't work for me because it didn't make sense from the plot line that they kind of set up. Because if you in the beginning you see that Beast Boy Gar actually finds where they had lost, where Jason was taken by Deathstroke and Dr. Light, and then the Titans go out and search for Jason throughout the tunnels, and it's like Gar was just there; he can show you where it was. So I thought that was kind of weird and strange. So that didn't really vibe to me. I guess they were just trying to go. It added a little more time for them to really kind of see the drama playing out and the difference of opinions between the characters. That was something I really liked after they got back from the tunnel and they had kind of Deathstroke had laid down his ultimatum to them. I thought that scene was really good in the training room where you saw all the differing opinions of the team, and each person had their own kind of like take and what they thought was the right thing, and they were all disagreeing. And I actually liked the dysfunctionality of the team, and I thought that fits really well into the story that they're telling. And I really like that, but I didn't like the part of them going and searching. That just didn't make any sense from a plot perspective, since Gar was just there. But what it led into was I enjoyed that. What else? So Starfire coming back, I thought that was actually, they did that really well. Not only from like a combat perspective where she's kind of like the ace in the hole for the Titans because Deathstroke doesn't know anything about her or what her abilities are or what she can do, but it also like kind of added in this like outside influence. She doesn't know what's been going on. She's not like a part of the drama. She can like kind of give you like this outsider's perspective and like, hey, y'all need to like cut the shit. Like there's real shit happening. You guys are kind of making some mistakes here. Let's try and figure it out. And I thought that played really well in the show. I also kind of liked how she's kind of like that mentor role for Raven and Rachel, and that little Rachel subplot was interesting. We got a little mystery going on with her powers, and then Starfire's kind of talking to her and like explaining to her everything, and then what ends up happening is Rachel is kind of she has an episode and she blames herself. Yeah, I think you're right on that script, Doctor. It definitely looks like Starfire is going to probably be the team leader, replacing Dick Grayson. It definitely looks where it's going. Although we'll see what happens next episode. It looks like we're going to get to see a new teammate. Although it might be, I don't know if they'll probably interact with the Titans. I'll assume it'll be similar to what the Hawk and Dove episodes were last in the first season, where we kind of get a where they are telling their own story, separate from kind of what's going on before they team up. But yeah, it definitely looks like Starfire will probably become the team leader. Although they did set it up good with she's already having conflict with Rachel there for a little bit already. So there is some conflict with Starfire as well, and we might see some more conflict with her too. Maybe with the other team, because they might be like, hey, why didn't you let us know like what was going on with Dick Grayson when he was going after Deathstroke? So there might be some distrust there, and we'll see if they'll actually kind of explore that. If you'll see maybe Hank or Don like actually ask whether or not they can trust Starfire, because she didn't really tell them what was going on with Dick Grayson and him kind of wanting to surrender or whatever. What else was there? Oh man, there was so much good stuff. I really liked I liked how Jason is always trying to find his way out of the situation. He uses his arrogance to his benefits in some cases, but and then he's always just he's always fighting. He's never beaten down, and I like that. Even when after Deathstroke had kind of like silenced him, he still continues to struggle. He still continues to fight. He never gives up, and I really like that. Some of the dialogue in the beginning was a little cringe, as far as just like um the they were all trying to go for this whole like distrust vibe, and we got that, but there was the scenes with like Raven and Gar talking about how the team like distrusts them, and it's like, bro, you distrusted them too. You walked out and didn't tell them where you were going. So I thought that was a little odd. I mean, that's what I mean, that's how we do that in our real lives. So that's definitely natural from a human perspective. But in the like telling a story, it was just kind of odd. It was just like, yo, dude, you were just like basically making sure you didn't tell Dick that you were going to hunt Deathstroke, and then you're whining about them keeping you out because you literally just lost one of your team members because you decided not to like follow instructions. So I thought that was just kind of strange. I'm interested. I still think there's more to explore with the Rose storyline. I'm not sure if I really trust her fully. And I also thought it was weird that she kind of was like, I want to hear what's going on. And then she reacted like almost instantaneously. She didn't stay to hear everything. So I thought that was I thought that was interesting. That she just kind of like dipped out instead of listening after she said she had wanted to listen. So I thought that I had issues there. I thought the beginning of the episode it was kind of a little bit of a struggle. The opening scene was awesome with Jason. Any scene with Jason is really good. I've come to realize he's like, I just love him being an asshole. He's so different from everyone else. His character just really, excuse me, his character really stands out as an individual. And then it got a lot better towards the end, where you had that focus on Deathstroke and Isai Morales and like the internal conflict within the team. And I thought that did really well. And then the last kind of like ending of the episode was really good with the fight scene, and I thought that was fantastic. I freaking hated that it ended on a cliffhanger. That was. I mean, I understand why they're doing that, but that just irritates me. But I wanted a little bit of closure there. What actually happened? And then what I also found interesting is they never really touched on what happened that they teased in the last episode at the end there with Jericho. They didn't touch on that at all. And it also looks like I might be wrong on this. I'm not a big. I haven't really followed Rose Wilson all that much in the comics, but it looks like she has like a brand new power set. I thought that was really strange. Her power set after that fight with Raven. Oh, speaking of that, that was actually really cool. I really like the effects on that when Raven showed her power set. Yeah, script doctor. That's what I was expecting. But I would think that Deathstroke would have got. I mean, it's not going to be a grappler from. It's not going to be a grappler from Nightwing. He didn't look like he had any gear, or Dick Grayson at this point. And then obviously, I don't think I would have assumed that Deathstroke took away all of Jason's gadgets. But I mean, he was still in his costume, so he might have some gadgets on him. And then, yeah, I mean, the next episode is titled Connor Kent, I think, if I remember correctly. So that might be Superboy might jump out of a window and save him or something, too. But I don't expect Jason to. I don't expect him to meet his end. I expect him to survive. Okay, yeah. So he still has. Yeah, that's kind of weird? Why would you take his utility belt away unless that's part of Deathstroke's plan is to sow discord and maybe return Jason back to the team to maybe sow a little bit even more discord within the team. I'm not really sure. That might just have been might be a mistake that he made. I mean, Deathstroke can make mistakes, although not all the time. But yeah, back to that Raven, the Raven CGI, that was freaking awesome with the red eyes lighting up, and then like her like the black cloud like was forming the wings. Oh, that was like really cool. and then you could just kind of like the way they did the fight choreography made her just seem like she was like way more super powerful. But I was really kind of confused about the new abilities that Rose was getting. It was almost like she's immortal or something. That was interesting. I wasn't really too keen on that. But I also didn't think she had killed her. So I thought that was, I guess, I mean, I heard like a bone snap, but I was kind of shocked when like Dawn went over and like checked to see if she had a pulse, and I was like, whoa, what's going on there? And that kind of shook me. I didn't think she did that kind of damage, but so I was a little surprised by that. I mean, so yeah, I would say like, I mean, there were some really good moments, like the fight scene at the end, the opening scene, the fight scenes with Rose as she was kind of trying to get out. I was a little bit disappointed with Dr. Light's fate. Yeah, I think we saw that. Yeah, Script Doctor saying it raises a question as to why her eye hasn't healed. I think you're right on that. I think they touched on that earlier. She had some kind of healing property, but I mean, apparently her healing property can heal her from fatal attacks as well. Because we saw her heal earlier from the fight on the rooftop, and her eye hadn't healed. So yeah, that is kind of interesting. And hopefully they'll maybe explore that. And who knows, maybe that ties into what we're going to see with Connor. Maybe we obviously know that Slade has been they talk about he's experimented on in some kind of government program. And they reiterated that it looks like he is an American and not an Australian. So that's a difference from the comics. Yeah, I mean, the dialogue in the beginning was a little rough, and I think you're right, Scriptar. You were talking about that earlier. When you see characters talk about secrets, it means the writers are running out of strong conflict, and I think you're right on that. Which is sad because there was a lot of strong conflict in the episode itself. You saw a lot of that strong conflict in the later discussion. Where they were all discussing the fate of Rose and Jason, what they were going to do. I really liked Hank kind of stole that scene with his impassioned speech, and obviously tried to make him out to be the bad guy. But I thought that fit his character too. Not out to be the bad guy per se, but the perception that he's the one willing to trade her off or whatever. But I thought that fit in with Hank's kind of persona. Get it done. I was surprised that they actually didn't discuss kind of like a double cross in the first place, which I thought would have been an obvious choice, but they didn't go that way. It seemed like there was only the two real options that they were discussing: trading her or not trading her. Instead of like, I mean, I guess Dick did talk about using her as bait at one point, but they never really went anywhere with that idea. So that was, I guess that was kind of just a little bit of like the little bit of the weaker dialogue in that moment. But Hank's speech really stood out to me. And then you had obviously we talked about it a little bit earlier, the voice of reason with Starfire. But I think that's pretty much kind of like what I wanted to get to with Titans. I would say it was probably the second best episode. Wasn't as good as the last episode. There were some weak points, especially in the beginning of the episode. The opening scene was really good. Jason Todd really stood out, but you had the weak points where there was a weak plot point where the Titans were having to go into the tunnels after Gar was literally just there and could have just showed them where Deathstroke took them. And then you had some of the weak dialogue with Gar and Rachel talking with each other and saying they were that the main Titans group didn't trust them, and Gar had literally just gone off and didn't trust to tell Dick, even though he was peer pressured by Jason, but he didn't trust Dick to tell him that they had found out where where Dr. Light was like hiding out. So I thought that was a little rich coming from Gar. I did like the blowout between Gar and Rachel after they had that discussion and they were fighting with each other. I thought that felt really real. I really liked that. That was really interesting to me. And it kind of like it cut off that like dynamic that they were kind of going with, where they were just kind of like, I don't know. I felt like they were what is the word? What is the word? It's like homesick lovers or something. That's not what I'm looking for, but forlorn lovers or whatever. And I don't know. I wasn't really getting that vibe. So I liked how they had that like big fight, and Rachel was none too pleased with Gar, and Gar wasn't really too pleased with her. And then I liked how he apologized after she had already gone, so it didn't really mean anything because she probably didn't even hear him. So I thought that was actually I really liked the emotion in that scene. And that was pretty solid. But yeah, so that was kind of my reaction to this episode. I enjoyed it, and I think this was. I'm really looking forward to the next one, and I hope Titans continues going this direction. It obviously wasn't as good as Aqualad, but it was another solid episode in what looks to be a pretty good season here moving forward. So I'm really excited to see what happens next. I really hope they explore a lot of what's going on. I want to see more. I want to continue to see more of like the drama between the teammates, their different ideas on how the team should be held. That is one thing I didn't like. I thought that was so stupid. I think it was Dawn that came up to Dick and was like, "After this, it's over. The Titans are done." And I was just like, yeah, I thought that was just kind of out of the blue and didn't really make any sense. Especially since like Hank is like, we got to get Jason back, and like, I don't know. I didn't understand where that was coming from on her point, especially since like in the beginning of the season, she was just kind of they were doing their own thing anyways, and it didn't matter. And it's like she's coming like, oh, you're bringing out our past, and so now like bad things are happening because we're being superheroes. And it's like, dude, like crime happens, like that stuff happens. Like, I mean, it's like saying like, hey, we need to disband the police because there was like an attack on a police station. I just thought that was just like one of the dumbest. I thought that was just stupid, and it didn't make any sense to where it was coming from, and it was like really out of the blue. Oh, that was another thing that I thought was that was also just kind of weird, and I didn't really like it. It was too much of a meta reference. It's when Dick was like, "Oh, I like your hair," and it's like, yeah, like come on. Yeah, well, her hair looks a lot better, and it's trying to like be sly about like, yeah, we know her hair looked like crap in the first season. You don't need to do that. Just move on. Take your hit. You took your hits. You took your lickings. You responded to the fan feedback by changing her hair. It looks a lot better. You didn't need to put it in the dialogue. It was cheesy and kind of just was didn't fit with the vibe of like what was going on in the show. Oh, I like your hair. Like that was stupid. But yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed the episode. The combat is absolutely excellent. I think I would say it's on par with what you saw in like Daredevil and the Netflix shows. It's really, really solid. The CGI looks really good. Raven's powers look fantastic. Starfire's powers look pretty solid too. They're used kind of sparingly, which is fine. I liked how her eyes lit up green when she was using them. That was a nice little touch. But overall, I thought this was a solid episode, and I'm looking forward to more Titans, and I hope they continue down this path. It looks really good, and they continue giving us really good, solid superhero entertainment. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. I'm gonna work on a review on the Expanse here. That'll be I'm gonna be doing I won't go live on that. That'll be a separate video. I don't know if you saw, but Gary from Nerdrotics, we were at New York Comic Con this weekend, and we got to watch the world premiere of season 4, the first episode of The Expanse on Amazon. So I'll be doing a full review on that. And then obviously on Wednesdays, we have our weekly live stream every Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm usually joined by a full panel. We have Jorge Arenas, we have Donald Edmonds, we have Philip Pratt, we have Drew Taylor. So we have a full panel on Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern where we talk about what is happening in the world of entertainment. And then I usually review Titans on Fridays, usually around like 11 a.m., around noon on Fridays, right after it is released. So look forward to that, and I will be seeing you soon. And hope you all have had a great weekend, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Have a good one.